Folks, welcome back everybody. My name is Rudy. You're watching Alpha Investments. Today we have no card video, no discussion on Magic or Pokemon today. Today is going to be a raw financial video. So I'm going to take you all back to a story in an era when I was taught about mutual funds and retirement accounts and 401ks and 403bs and IRAs and Roth IRAs and all this. And I want to give you all some interesting information, and I want to tell you about the most toxic thing that I've always hated. So sit back, relax. Today, pretty much we're going to talk about fund of funds. So Wall Street created a financial product a long time ago called Target Retirement Mutual Funds. So when I was first pitched this back in 2007, working at a brokerage firm, we were supposed to put all of our clients in these new fund of funds. So let me just take a step back for a minute here. So everybody, if you don't have a retirement account, a Roth IRA, or a 401k with your company that they're matching, first of all, I don't know why you're even watching this channel. I mean, are you new here? Did you take the wrong exit on the internet? So the most fundamental, basic thing you need to have in this world is planning for the future and putting money aside. Now, unfortunately, I know you guys always ask me. I get patrons who sign up. I'm sorry. Again, I don't have a shortcut for you. I don't have the best mutual fund for you. I don't know what stock to buy you guys to make you rich. I don't know a shortcut in life. So those of you who message me all the time, what magic set should I buy? What Pokemon? What mutual fund? I'm sorry, I don't have a shortcut for you. This world is about long-term grinding, and it's a long-term journey. You have to stay healthy and active, and you have to target that, nice 6 to 9% a year, averaging 7 to 8. And in the long run, everything will work out just fine if you make good choices. So today, back to the bag. Today we're talking about these mutual fund target dates. Now these, in my opinion, are one of the biggest things I hate. Like, for example, there are certain things in this world I can't stand. Wall Street, I do not believe anyone should be buying puts and calls, option contracts, unless you're using it as a very complicated hedging strategy with a multi-million-dollar portfolio. Not degenerate gambling and doing stupid shit. I'm sorry, I know it's a rush and you crave that dopamine hit, but you're just stupid. Now, in mutual funds, every mutual fund in the world has an internal expense, also known as the expense ratio. An internal expense or an expense ratio is essentially the fee that Wall Street fund manager is going to charge you for managing your money for you. Okay? So I always recommend Vanguard related products. If you want to buy and do this stuff with the S&P 500, you can buy the SPYs. I personally prefer the VOO, VOO, because it has a lower internal expense ratio. Vanguard is something that my family has had for, 30 plus years. And it's something that I would recommend to anybody. You want financial advice? I'll give you some raw fucking financial advice. You should, if you want to have mutual funds or ETFs, which is very similar to a mutual fund, but it's a little bit more liquid. You can trade it throughout the day instead of just close the business. Vanguard funds have the lowest internal expense in the industry. Some of their funds are literally almost zero. Like the VOO, which is the S&P 500, I think the expense ratio is like 0.08 or something. It's so low, it's incredible. So let's go back to the thing I hate the most, and I hope someone out there can learn and avoid this type of financial product. So target date mutual funds is part of this modern thing in the last 20 years to create these hands-off, set it and forget it for lazy, uneducated people. I believe they're one of the most toxic, stupid financial instruments ever developed, and they're targeted to pretty much lower income, uneducated, and gullible Americans. That's my personal opinion. Now, why do I feel that way? So a target date mutual fund is essentially a mutual fund that is held in retirement accounts or people. It don't have a date. It'll say target date fund 2050. And you're going, wow, Rudy, you're 40 years old. You want to retire when you're 65. That's 25 years from now. Well, it's 2025, right now. 25 years is 2050. So hold on a second, hold on. If I just buy the 2050 target date mutual fund, I can just put money in it every year. They'll balance it and manage it for me. And I don't have to pay anything extra. Are you serious? And they will slowly adjust the risk as I get closer to retirement and I don't have to do anything. Yes, that is the elevator pitch to funds of funds. Target date funds, mutual funds that are, I call this layering. Layering is another financial term that I can't stand. I don't think anyone understands the degree of how bad these products are. Because when you lose expenses on a mutual fund, the long-term impact is beyond what you can comprehend, the way finance works and the way these are calculated. So the reason internal expenses are kind of the golden goose on Wall Street is because when you get your monthly or quarterly bank statement or retirement statement, you will not see a fee and you will not see the money removed from your account. It is legal for them to just take it out of the share price so your balance didn't go up as much. Or if the mutual fund is flat, maybe the fund is down 0.5%. So essentially the way it works, if you have a mutual fund, and let's say at the end of the year, it goes up 10% and you have a great year. If they charge you a management fee of 1% for the internal expense of this mutual fund, your account on your $1 million is only going to actually appreciate 9%. So you will actually see a 9% growth on your account, and you're going to go, this is great. My $1 million is up 9% for the year. I'm up $90,000. This is an amazing investment. Okay, now that we got that out of the way, if you buy funds, just index funds, like the S&P or anything that everybody talks about on the internet, on a $1 million investment into the VOO or the SPYs, the expense ratio is like 0.089 or something. So on $1 million, not only do they not take 1%, which would be $10,000 for every million invested, like the fee they're going to take, it's like, what does that come out to be? A couple $100 on $1 million. It is so low. So if it makes 10%, you actually make like what? 9.9%? So it's like, wait a second. If both these funds perform the same, let's pretend, and the one charging you 1% a year as an internal expense, I only make 9%. The other one is 0.01 or whatever. You're going to make 9.9%. That doesn't sound like much. But there's been a lot of statistics and data done over long term that over 20, 30-year time periods, we're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars for a normal account. And if you're already dealing with millions of dollars, you're talking over a 20, 30-year period, the fees are in the millions. It is unbelievable, okay? And that brings me to the most toxic thing on Wall Street, funds of funds. So in the last 20 years, they developed these target date funds like Fidelity, Merrill Lynch, Schwab. They made these funds that essentially they charge you 1% as the expense ratio. Okay, are you guys still with me? And then the fund manager buys their own family of funds and places other mutual funds inside the basket of the fund that you're paying to manage. It's confusing as shit. So essentially, think about this. If there's a Rudy growth fund and I charge you 1% a year, okay? And then there's, what's this new fund? The Rudy Target Retirement Next Year Fund. And I buy that fund that charges 1% a year. Well, that goofball, that grifter Rudy guy then takes the other mutual fund that charges 1%, places it inside the target date fund, layering, and now the fund charges 1%. Inside the fund, the other fund is charging 1%. So you start to layer these fees, and none of them have to be legally disclosed on a bank statement or a brokerage statement or a retirement statement. So essentially, Wall Street created this way to take American 401ks, retirement accounts, knowing that most people are so uneducated and illiterate because our country doesn't teach the proper education of risk management, money management, and how these instruments work. So I can't believe they're legal. It's always been a huge thing. I used to talk about this stuff all the time in my younger days. I can't believe, like, after all these years, they still do these fund of funds. Like, if you want to know if your retirement account has it, you go to your retirement account, find out what fund your money's in, take that ticker symbol of whatever that fund, mutual fund is, and look at the top holdings of your mutual fund. If the top holdings of Rudy's Taco Fund and the top 10 holdings are, instead of things like, I don't know, Amazon and Google and Walmart or whatever, if the top 10 holdings say other mutual funds, congratulations, you're getting bamboozled and you're experiencing what we call layering. And the amount of growth that can be stunted on owning products like that over a 10, 20, 30-year time frame is beyond. I almost did a whiteboard on this, but I wanted to keep it more of a rant, and I mostly just wanted you all out there to understand that they have these mutual fund products, and they are called target date funds, or any of these managed funds. Sometimes they change the name, but anything that is a fund, and inside of the holdings of this mutual fund that you're paying 1%, they have other companies' funds that they're charging 1%. And sometimes it gets worse. Sometimes there's funds out there that says Target Date Rudy Fund, Retirement 2050. And inside that fund is another company's actively managed fund. And inside that fund is different S&P 500s in growth, in emerging markets, in mid-cap, small cap, tech, real estate, utilities, staples. And before you know it, you're going, oh my, there are mutual funds out there, okay, that are literally, I've seen, the most I've ever seen is triple layered. 3 layers in. In the deepest layer inside has things like S&P 500, large cap growth, and different things, maybe American funds, I don't know, I don't remember the names, and they charge 1%. And then a fund manager will have active managed growth, where we choose which funds we feel will grow the most for the year. And that guy charges 1%. And then the target date retirement says, okay, we need to have things that people have 20 years to retirement, so put in the active manager. So then the retirement fund puts the active manager in there, which then places the other mutual fund that he shuffles around. So you're paying 1. So essentially you're paying 3% of your money. So for every $1 million, that'd be $30,000 a year in fees that are not legally required to be disclosed as a fee on a bank statement, because it's an internal expense that is only disclosed in the prospectus of the fund, which nobody reads. But see, normal Americans don't read prospectuses. They only go, what's my statement? Did it go up from last month? Great, I'm happy. And then there's times when the S&P and the market crashes. We have negative 10%, negative 20% years. And not only would you be negative 20% for the year, then you paid 3% from layering. So even if the market drops 20%, your account dropped 23%. Also known as underperforming the index. Okay? Then when the market comes back 20% on year 2, you only rose 17% because they took another 3% out. So in 2 years, the market drops 20%, where it comes back 20%, you're at break even, you're down 3% both years without compounding, you're down a raw 6% on $1 million. That's $60,000 in losses, and the market's flat. Like, those are the things. And you talk about wealth in this country, and evil grifters and all this evil stuff. Like, there are firms and business models. Now, what I just said was based on $1 million example, okay? Imagine it's $1 billion under management, $100 billion under management, and they're raking in 2%, 3% in fees. Don't get me started on hedge funds. Some outrageous amount of, 3% management fee plus 30% of all profits. Don't get me started on that. The problem with all this stuff is on the surface, people are attracted to anything that seems easy, anything that seems to give you an edge, anything that makes you feel like you can get a shortcut to get ahead. And I get messages all the time from you guys, Patreon messages, comments in the comment section. And people always ask me, what magic box, what Pokemon set do you think will jump next? Rudy, do you have any hot stock picks? Do you own any big stocks? Yeah, I own individual stocks. I don't own anything. I don't own any penny stocks or crazy stuff. It's all boring stuff you guys aren't going to want to hear. Oh, look, Rudy owns Apple. Oh, look, Rudy owns Hasbro. Oh, look, he owns ExxonMobil. He owns Philip Morris. He owns Walmart. Oh, look, these are all just S&P 500, Dow components. These are very, I don't have small cap, speculative, penny stock, micro. I don't do any of that stuff, And I think the problem is, at the end of the day, whenever we talk about finance and money, the internet in our hustle culture really has done a lot of damage to how we view money and success in a lot of things. And, my life and business has turned out very fortunate, and I'm very grateful for it. I'm very thankful all the time. And it turned out really beautiful for me and the family and my son and everything. I'm very happy. But the thing is, when I talk to everybody about it and I see the amount of, I like to watch financial channels. I like to watch the stuff just like you guys do about the markets and news and CNBC and everything. But there's so much information out there, and people make fun of things, and they make fun of Jim Cramer on CNBC. They make fun of all the financial YouTubers, and when they get it right, everybody's like, oh my God, he called it. When you get it wrong, it's inverse Jim Cramer because everything's wrong and it's just funny as a meme. Depending on which way the wind blows is going to dictate what kind of financial person you're going to like or not like. And yeah, there's a lot of money in banking and selling people on, I hate to say it, but selling people on programs and get rich quick and launching your own meme coin and hot Tua coin and buy my program. Come to the Rudy seminar. There's a lot of money in that stuff. That's why everybody cringes, and in the back of your mind it feels sleazy, but that's why people do it, because there's a lot of money in it. And the golden rule remains. Remember, everybody, no matter who, what, how rich or poor someone is, nobody has a special secret. If there's ever going to be anyone in history that cracks the code to infinite money glitch, they're never going to tell you, and they won't be on YouTube. My point of my channel is to discuss all the news, report all the cars, the releases, talk about selling them. I sell some to you guys, I keep some, I hoard some, and we talk about all these ebbs and flows in the market. Sometimes things work out really good. Sometimes they go to shit, and it's terrible, and people make fun of me the rest of my life. And that is something you have to accept if you're going to be on YouTube or if you're going to be an investor. Some things in life have worked out so much better than I ever thought possible. Looking at you, Lord of the Rings. Some things were far worse than even comprehensible, Cryptid Nation. There's things that, things can go so far outside what you think is possible. But that's part of collecting and investing and being on the internet, So, but I think with the economy and money, everything's on hard mode. Everything's very difficult, right? I think with things being so difficult and the cost of living so high and the amount of inflation we've had in recent years, I really think this has really it makes a lot of people take a lot of risk and do things they shouldn't normally do, but they're almost desperate because there's this thing where people get real excited, okay? And it makes them want to, hey, Rudy, I got this guy. He knows when to buy and sell Bitcoin. He's located overseas in Nigeria or Africa or something. Or maybe they're in Pluto, a different planet. I'm telling you, this guy You send him your money, Rudy, and you give him $5,000, and he'll turn your $5,000 into $50,000 in a month. And you have these people, and they discover this stuff and this and that, and they tell you things. No, I even tried withdrawing, and it worked. And you have to remember, things that are too good to be true, they're always a scam. They're always a scam. Sometimes crazy things happen, but overall, your instinct, if you're going to buy into something, a video game, a collectible, a card, I don't know, you're into that crazy crypto stuff, startups and coins, and you have to remember, most likely, you're going to lose money or you're going to get scammed unless you're buying something you enjoy or you can collect something physical. But trying to look for these extreme shortcuts, you get wound up in the moment, and your dopamine, your emotion, your adrenaline blurs your defense mechanisms. So you don't kind of say, hang on. I don't know about this, Rudy. 5,000 in Bitcoin, and they're going to turn to 50,000? They're going to 10x my money in 30 days? Yeah, they're the best. You get so wound up in these little moments, it distorts the kind of your kind of consciousness and your defense mechanisms. It kind of makes you, I don't know, I got to go for it. The window of opportunity, it's limited, So, and all these things feed into it. And the reason I wanted to bring all that up is because now we're going to go back to the beginning of the video. These fund of funds and these mutual funds, a lot of these things, they're legally not scams, but I think they're terrible financial products. The golden rule applies. I've been on YouTube a decade, okay? I'd like to think more people like me than dislike me, but depends on the market conditions, right? Depends if we're in a bear market or in a bull market. But in my opinion, I've yet to see any certain thing that can be done to give you a shortcut in life. I have never seen, in the 10 years on YouTube, all the patrons, all the videos, all the releases, all the card games, all the other channels I watch, we all discuss this stuff because we enjoy cards and collecting and investing in things. We hope it works out, and that's great. But overall, it seems like the boring, unsexy, tried and true, just kind of hitting that 8% a year, and it just, doing the retirement account, get a piece of real estate to live under. If you want to collect and start doing collectibles, that's great. Add that piece to it. Do some Bitcoin, keep some cash, do some stocks and bonds. That's great. And it does feel like long-term, that is still it's not cool to talk about that stuff anymore. And even now, people look for these funds because everybody wants to outperform the S&P 500. Everybody says, Rudy, Pokemon outperforms the S&P. And I don't like to say it, but yes, historically, Pokemon in the 25 years it's been around has outperformed the S&P 500. I don't like to use that metric because I feel like that's I just don't like that metric. Even though that is a true statement, I don't think that statement should be pitched because markets and companies and card games are ebbs and flows. And it feels off, But the point of this video was to let everybody know, even when you're doing the right thing, and you're doing the retirement accounts, you're doing the 401k, you're doing these things, just be careful on the mutual funds or exchange traded funds, ETFs. Just be careful on the funds you pick. Make sure you know what the expense ratio is. Make sure you know what the top 10 holdings are. Make sure you understand what the money's actually doing. And yes, take a few minutes. Look at your statements. Check every month, once a quarter. Check what the account's doing. Is the account down from last quarter? Why is it down? Are all the funds down? Oh wait, this one part of my account is down. Why is that mutual fund down and all the rest of them are up? What's inside of that one fund? Oh, it's all bonds. It's a bond fund. And interest rates are swinging everywhere, making the bonds lose value. Oh, okay. Do I want to be in bonds instead of equity if I have a 30-year time frame? Probably not. So you have to question what's going on and educate yourself and pay attention. That's the point of this video. If you want to be a Rudy patron, you want to buy cards from me and we have fun, you want to skip things, you want to see all the drama behind the scenes on the Rudy's infamous Patreon thing, you want to buy a shirt so I can make $5 off you on eBay, if you want to do it, that's great. That's great. Hey, we'll have fun, we'll memes, jokes, all kinds of stuff, but it's really imperative though for everybody to just really be the most educated you can be in even financial regulated items like mutual funds by the SEC. Even though they're legal, I personally feel a lot of them are very scammy and very shitty because they engage in layering and they engage in putting your money inside these baskets that contain things that I think are shit. That's my personal opinion. That's the point of this video. Even if you feel like you're doing the right thing and you're putting money aside, it's going to retirement account, make sure you know what's going on. Make sure you're not in a mutual fund that's a fund of funds, and inside your fund, there's 3 more mutual funds. Inside those mutual funds, there's 10 more mutual funds. And every single thing is taking 1%, and you're just getting railed. Make sure you know what's going on. That's all. Other than that, I don't know what's coming up next. We got Pokemon in a month, Magic in a month. Oh, I got Flesh and Blood coming up, a high roller sale. We got some sorcery stuff coming up. Oh, we got the white sets. That's all. Thanks for watching. Hope you guys learned something. Have a beautiful day.